Chapter 4. We put on our coats and hats and mittens in the warm kitchen. We're going to see White Cow first, Liam tells Gran. I thought you probably would, she says. She hands me some money. This is for butter at the market, and these letters are to be mailed. Outside it is cold and bright. It feels like frost on my nose. We walk down the length of the fence looking for White Cow. She's not in the meadow, says Liam. His breath comes out in puffs in the winter air. We open the gate and walk through the snow-covered grass to the barn. The barn is old and smells like hay and the winter breath of all the animals that have lived here. We stop as we enter, both of us, because it is huge. The roof is so high, it reminds me of the picture of a cathedral I once saw in a book. There are stalls and many bales of hay and barrels with covers that hold grain. Parts of the floor are old wood, and our boots slip on the smoothness. Slices of light from the windows fall across the wood. White Cow, calls Liam suddenly. There is a shuffle of noise at the far end of the barn, and White Cow walks out of a stall. She slowly walks toward us. She stops. She is so big and white. Liam talks to her in his soft voice. Poor girl. Good girl. Come here. White Cow comes close and suddenly leans against Liam. He is almost knocked off his feet by this affection, but he doesn't fall. My heart beats faster. Lily, his voice comes from somewhere behind White Cow. You're scared, he says. She's just big. She can't help it. Scared? Am I? Am I scared? Come closer, Lily. I walk closer and reach out a hand and stroke her long white side. She is warm. She turns to look at me for a moment, and I am surprised by her eyes. We stay with White Cow a long time in the sweet-smelling barn, and when we finally walk to the barn door so we can go to town, White Cow follows us, standing in the doorway. More than once we turn walking backward and see White Cow watching us from the barn, the doorway framing her like a picture frame. We are mostly silent as we walk down the road, down the hill, past several houses that are scattered along the way, past a field bordered by red barberry bushes. I was right, I say softly. Nothing is the same now. Liam doesn't answer me. Nothing. Liam still doesn't speak. How did you know I was scared of White Cow? I ask finally. I turn to look at him. I just knew. You don't know her the way I do, he says. We walk quietly. The fields are snow-coated. The only green, the spruces and white pines in the fields. The sky is gray. We have to buy a cow, says Liam as we come to the center of town. I stop walking, but Liam walks on. You can't do that. You're just a kid. A girl on a horse comes up the hill, the horse peering closely at me, its hooves quiet on the snow-covered road. I run to catch up with Liam. We walk together, not speaking. I take a breath and know that I'll be sorry that I asked the question I'm going to ask. How can we buy a cow? Liam turns and grins brightly at me. I don't know, he says, but we will. Chapter 5. Lisa, the librarian, is happy to see us at the Lilac Library. 2 whole weeks of nonstop reading, right? She says. I wish everyone read the way you two do. Liam disappears in the stacks, and I look at the shelves of books. Books and books and books. Liam comes back with a nonfiction book with the title, The Emotional Life of Cows, and checks it out. We mail Gran's letters at the post office. Wait, says Liam, stopping. He studies the notices on the bulletin board. Lost cat. Name is Thug. Not lovable. Reward. Wanted. Exotic chickens for breeding. Wanted. A quiet room by the river for one person and the most intelligent dog in the world. Liam looks at the notices for so long I finally tug at his coat. Wait, says Liam again. I'm having a thought. Go ahead. I'll catch up with you. I go outside and walk to the market. Liam comes up from behind me with a look. What? I ask. Just thinking. The market has newly polished wood floors, and we wander down the aisles until we find butter for Gran. Next door, there is a new small store called Already Read Books. A sign on the door says, secondhand books bought and sold. Liam puts his face close to the window and peers in because it is closed. Books, he says happily. We go to the general store. It is filled with dishes and jewelry and toys and penny candy and kitchen gadgets and cakes and pies and muffins. Blown glass Christmas balls hang from the ceiling. Angels and stars for the top of the tree sit on shelves. Look, I tell Liam, a new coffee cup for Gran. I hold up a white mug with a great blue heron painted on it. Liam shakes his head. Wait, says Liam. Don't buy it yet. Wait for what? Liam doesn't answer. I put the mug back and stare at Liam. We're going to have Christmas whether you want it or not, you know. I walk out of the store and past the post office and past the small coffee shop, past the already red store. I turn up the road to Gran's. I am close to tears for the second time today. I wish Liam would not think so much. I wish White Cow could go away and not come back so I wouldn't have to think about her. There is the sound of pounding feet behind me. Hey, says Liam, panting from running. I don't like you, I say, bursting into tears at last. I know. I don't like me either, says Liam. I stare at Liam and I can't help it. I start laughing and crying at the same time. I'm just a kid, Lily, says Liam. You said so yourself. We walk on. Cows cost a lot, says Liam. $500 sometimes. We can't afford that, I say. Maybe a young cow, Liam says. Called a calf, I say, starting to laugh again. Liam laughs too, and for a while it is the way it used to be, the way all other Christmases at Gran and Grandpa's house have been. Liam scoops up snow and tries to stuff it down my neck. Ice on the trees sparkles in the sunlight. We pick some red barberry branches for Gran. But when we get home, White Cow is still there, standing by the fence, watching us with those eyes. It is not the way it used to be. Chapter 6. All through dinner, there is no talk of White Cow. There is talk of Christmas and the town and books. Do you want to make Christmas cookies tomorrow, Lily? asks Gran. Sure, I say. Charlie sits by Grandpa's feet, watching the floor intently, waiting for Grandpa to drop food. Emmett sleeps by the fireplace, almost in the fireplace. Liam gets up and carries his plate to the kitchen and comes back for the other plates. Do you have a copy machine? He asks Grandpa. Nope, sorry, says Grandpa. I'll keep thinking, he says in a soft voice. Don't think, I tell him just as softly. Liam smiles. That night, we sleep with the curtains open so we can look out and see the stars across the sky. I wake in the night once and can see light under the door of Liam's room. I sigh and turn over and count the stars until I fall back to sleep. Where is Liam? I asked at breakfast the next morning. Grandpa laughs. You're always asking that, Lambie. He went off early. He seems to have plans. I pour a glass of juice. Yes, Liam always has his plans, I say. Gran and I make cookies all morning. Christmas trees with silver ball decorations, snowmen with red cinnamon buttons, star cookies and moon cookies, and little house cookies with frosted doors and windows. This is nice, Gran, like it always is. It is, Lily. Maybe you and Liam can come this summer and help cut the hayfield and plant gardens. I smile at Gran. That would be good, but there is something about Christmas here. There is, says Gran, and I realize that I have said my thoughts out loud. Gran puts the cookies on a big platter. Beautiful, she says. I'm going to look for Liam, I tell Gran. There are more letters to mail on the table, Lily. I put on my boots and coat and walk out to the driveway. White Cow is standing by the gate, an empty black bucket at her feet. I walk over to her. Did Liam give you grain? I ask. Sure he did, I whisper. I smile at myself, talking to a cow. After a moment, I reach out and touch White Cow's neck. She stares at me as if she knows me. I'll be back, I tell her. And then what I say to White Cow surprises me. Don't worry, I whisper. We'll take care of you. And I walk off down the driveway and down the road, past houses and fields and the stream I hear flowing. When I come to the center of town, I go to the post office to mail Gran's letters. And there on the bulletin board, I see the first notice. I know what Liam has been doing. Wanted, a cow friend for a lonely, sad cow. It is Christmas and she needs a friend. Think how you'd feel. I'm buying. Call Liam. He has written Gran and Grandpa's telephone number at the bottom. I look at the notice for a long time, then drop Gran's letters in the mail slot. I walk across the street looking for Liam. There, nailed to the telephone pole by the Lilac Library, is another notice. Once upon a time there was a white cow, all alone at Christmas. She was sad and lonely. She lives on South Street. If you have a cow friend for her, please call Liam. I smile a little and walk across the street. In the market window is another notice. I feel like I am following Liam by his notices, like following his footprints in the snow. Help White Cow. Sell me a friend for her for Christmas. Call Liam. Your Christmas will be happier too. I find Liam tacking up a notice on the notice board at the general store. This one has a drawing of a white cow with a tear in her eye. You've been busy, I say. Liam nods. I take a deep breath. I can't believe that I'm going to say this, Liam. I'm proud of you. Liam smiles. Let's go home, he says wearily. He takes my hand and we walk around the corner and start up the hill that begins South Street. Little flakes of snow begin to fall. Before long, there is a steady snow. I look up and watch the snow come down. Liam? What? I talked to White Cow this morning. Liam doesn't speak for a moment, and when he does, what he says makes me smile. You're turning into me, he says. We walk all the way home, and the snow grows heavier. And when we walk up the driveway to Gran and Grandpa's house, past the barn, past White Cow, Graham comes to the door and tells us there has been a telephone call for him. Chapter 7. Snow is still falling when we leave. Gran looks at us, knowing we're not telling her things. Something's going on, right? She says. Right, Liam and I answer at the same time. Well, I'm not asking you about it right now, she says. Right now, she repeats. Liam grins at her and pulls me out the front door. The sky has darkened and the world is full of snow. Who is it? I ask. Thomas says his father is selling their calf. He said he'd tell me about it when I get there. The snow is so heavy that we almost miss the West Street turn. We walk fast and then ahead in the dense falling snow is a boy. Thomas? Calls Liam. Thomas turns. Yes. Several cows are in the meadow. One small brown calf stands by the fence. I'm Liam. This is Lily. Tom takes a folded piece of paper out of his pocket. It is one of Liam's notices. Did you write this? Asked Thomas. I did. We're looking for a cow. Thomas looks at the brown calf. Is that yours? Asked Liam. Yes, but you're too late. My father says she's sold. Sold? To live where? Asked Liam. For the market, says Thomas softly. For meat. For meat, says Liam. There is a moment of silence, no sounds at all, like when the wind suddenly stops blowing. For meat? Repeats Liam, trying to understand. Thomas nods. Papa says we need the money. Liam, the calf is sold, I say. I shiver in the cold. I'm going home. I'm freezing. Wait a minute, Lily, says Liam. Thomas, how much is your papa selling the calf for? Thomas shrugs. $200, I think, for Christmas money, he adds. 200, says Liam. He takes Thomas's arm. Listen, Thomas, I'm going to save your calf. What's her name? Thomas shrugs again. She doesn't have a name. We call her Brown Cow, finishes Liam happily. Thomas looks surprised. Yes, how did you know that? I know what Liam is thinking. I start walking away. I walk on until suddenly Liam is beside me. Don't talk, I say, loving and hating him at the same time. Well, hate is a strong word. So is love. One good thing, though, he doesn't speak all the way home through the falling snow.